for joining us. Oh, I forgot to do the tones. All right. All right. If you got headphones on, hey, stairway to heaven. That's all I got to say. I love that. I'd get those bowls if I could, but you know, they have a much greater girth than I have a room for. But anyway, how is everyone? Miss Lois, thank you. You are the subject at the heart of our meeting today. We're going to raise you some funds. And folks, if you are going to donate, and whether it's $1, $5, or even 100, it's up to you. Use the PayPal link. Please don't use YouTube. That's just, it's a pain in the ass and it's expensive. And you go to the PayPal link that's linked right there in the description box. And it's also on the home page of my YouTube channel. Go there, it'll take you to her PayPal account and make a nice donation. And I know it will be well appreciated. So Lois, how are you, my dear?
I'm doing pretty well.
Good, good. We have two other guests joining us. We have Miss Queen of Quartz, Karen. How are you doing?
Oh, excellent, Wayne. Hello, everybody. I'm so
And
glad to be here. Thanks, Lois, for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
I'm glad you came. Thank you.
Thank you.
yeah, she's in the sunny side of the country. And Rossian, good to see you again.
Wonderful to be here
Thank you for
in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Well, we are well represented, I would say, at least as far as the Rockies going east and south is concerned.
We have the four cardinal positions.
Exactly. I love that. That's exactly what I was thinking. So Lois, tell us, the audience, a little bit about what you do and what your, well, I will say is offering of your gifts to your local area. So tell us what the food pantry does.
We give out food once a month. We've been running for about close to 5 years now.
Congratulations on
5 years now. And the holidays usually be the hardest. This is when families want to come together. Um, Thanksgiving and Christmas is like the biggest holidays for me as far as giving. And just trying to make sure I have enough funds to accommodate everybody.
excellent.
As this is
Excellent.
the biggest time everybody looks for help.
Yes, and I think there's going to be much more people looking for help. I think that things are getting interesting out there. And one of the things I like about your approach, Lois, is that you give food unconditionally. You don't have a religion behind it. You don't have a state agency behind it. You simply have love behind it.
Exactly. I've been to where I had to go to a food pantry myself once upon a time ago. I didn't like the feeling being judged, or you go to a church food pantry and it's like, you must not be doing something right in your life. God's
Ain't it
punishing.
the truth?
You get that feeling like God is punishing you. That's why you having this hard time. So I already know how that feels, and I wouldn't treat nobody else that way.
Mm. Words of wisdom, folks. I mean, seriously. Isn't that the truth, though? Humans, we judge so quickly. I mean, I contend there is no God that will ever judge us because he couldn't or she couldn't compete with us. Anyone have anything to say on that?
Well, how
Think
about we
about
just
it.
say the very thing that we think is judging us is actually watching us through our own eyes, feeling our own experience. We are all the microcosm of it. It is the macrocosm of us. So you fearing something that's going to judge you is you looking in the mirror and just not liking parts of what you see.
Exactly.
As above, so
Exactly.
below.
Uh,
Again, how does a God compete with that? It's like I'm not touching it. Y'all already got it figured out.
no judgment on my side for anything like that, of course, Wayne. I mean, um, just for an example, as you know, I was in Washington State and I just recently left there, but I loved Washington State for, they were really proactive as far as their laws, because in Seattle and even other areas, it's against the law to throw out food. So, and I live way up in, in North, in the mountains more, we're in smaller communities, and there was a church there, and they would bring it by the transport up from Seattle to all these small communities where there was a lot of immigrants and different, just all kinds of people, and they'd have this big program at the church, and they'd bring it up from all the stores, and everybody would go there to get all the fresh fruit and bread, and they had farms out there for growing for the food projects. I mean, I used to go myself.
Hmm.
This is just what I lived there, just because it was all fresh, and instead of throwing it away, like I said, they'd rather the whole community just come and take what you want. So you'd help out at the church, and I'd do things, and they'd have a big dinner, a meal at the same time, and food. So I'd help cook in there and do things and pass out tickets, and they did it all the time. So that was Washington State. It was great. So no judgment at all. They're over that, I think, in most ways. To them, it was more of a wrong to throw the food out,
I think that's
and
fabulous.
then just to spread it around the state.
Hmm.
And so then you could go freely and get it. So yeah, I found there was very little judgment there about it. So it come a long way. And like you said, in the future way, and I think it's going to be more and more important for communities to do that, and to be more concerned about spreading food around and different things for health and well-being that we need to sustain ourselves in communities. And there should be no judgment at all about making sure people are fed.
Mm-hmm.
Right there
Really,
with you,
I mean,
sister.
Yeah.
They would say right arm. So yeah.
food and shelter.
Yeah, well, I wish other communities,
Food, shelter, and love.
yeah, that would get in line with that. Unfortunately, there are many cities where it's illegal to feed the those who are in need, and
So
food.
how can that be? See, so one part of the country, it's like can't throw food away. Here, give it out, and the other part, oh no, you can't give to feed people. That's
Yeah,
strange.
yeah, it's I think they passed the laws in the guise because of dumpster diving.
Oh,
So, it's one of those things that just wasn't thought out. I mean, all right, so I kind of figure if it's thrown out on the trash, I think the Supreme Court said it's open season, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Lois, what do you find? I know you and I have talked, because you've been on here before, that if you get state funding, it can get regulatory. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we are branches of the food bank. There's a main food bank. And then what the food bank does is to have people like me or churches can open up food pantries.
Okay.
The food bank can't do it all by itself anyway. But most food grants is going to go to the food bank,
Mm-hmm.
not to the pantries.
Okay.
They're just branches,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And what you do is actually to be able to add to that of what other pantries would be doing as well.
Right.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Andy, I see you have a great view up there. I love that. And did Pennsylvania, did you say?
In Pennsylvania, Philadelphia.
Yeah, yeah. Been there many a time in Philadelphia. So how's everything in your life, my friend, since the last time you and I have talked?
It's wonderful. I have been redefining the way we look at coming together and fellowshipping, and broadening the scope to say, maybe if we look at churches as a place where you come together and have a spoken word and a good time and some good food, and maybe some dancing, and don't do any preaching, just put that stuff in the wayside bin because it was clearly misunderstood. Maybe we could find some spirit inside of all of us and have a good time. So I noticed that happened last week when I went to a church. It was beautiful.
Excellent. Excellent.
They even had a birthday cake for me, and nobody knew it was my birthday.
I love that. It's odd that you mentioned that. I just read an article, in fact, got an email on this as well, is that it was talking about the spiritual darkness that has descended upon what most churches are today, that they're very, the article said here, they're very dead.
Yes, it's the death of the church.
Mm-hmm.
And, they were studying Revelation. And I said, well, Claire said something about Philadelphia, and we're here in Philadelphia now. And clearly, if the revelation is at the end, it says the beginning of the kingdom of God hasn't started. So who y'all been worshiping this whole time? If God's coming at the end, he wasn't here. She wasn't here. She was sleeping. And they looked at me as if I was crazy. I said, well, consider her having a baby right now. You're going to take your shoes off and you're going to be so good with Mother Gaia because she's your God in the resting form. In Terra resting. Don't you see she's Terra? And if you just learn how to word play it for them, just massage it a little bit, you can have so many aha moments. And I'm a roaster, I'm going there to have a comedic good time. So can't have one without the other. If you had a mother and a father in the physical, now you're going to understand the divine mother and father because both sides of the brain's going to start talking to each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that we're the seeders. I think that there's a lot of awakening. And, I was thinking about that. When was the last time America experienced a spiritual revival or awakening?
Was it in
In the
1944?
90s. In the 90s.
And when
Oh,
was
well,
it in
the
the
last
90s?
convergence in the
In
90s.
the 90s. Actually, there was a bigger spiritual happening in the 90s than even now, Wayne, actually, I found. Because I was
The
a big
Great
part of that
Convergence.
in the 90s, yes. And we actually changed the timeline back then. So
Yes.
actually, there was more people aware and more people coming together. We used to meet in groups and big spiritual meditations and 10, 20,000 people at a time because this was
Where was this at?
in Canada, in
It
Toronto.
wasn't
And
in America. I can tell you that. I lived in Knoxville. I don't remember anything.
oh, we used to
at
go to
all.
all kinds of events and spiritual gatherings, and I belonged to a lot of big groups. And
It
but
happened.
oh yeah, in the 90s for sure.
They
Yeah,
called it the Great Convergence. It
yeah.
was the We Are the World came out of that moment, out of that movement.
The crystalline
Um,
networks,
the
all of
Crystalline
the
Network.
just everything. That's where all my mentors came from. They were
Well,
full.
I know the people that started the We Are the World thing, and that didn't end up well.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
not sure about that one, but
Well,
in this
it's
dimension, the outcome did not quite hit the mark. But we're multidimensional beings. So
I've had
everything you
someone.
do here,
No,
that's
no,
a
I
ripple
agree with you.
effect.
Yeah, it's that the fact that it's very difficult to prove to the average person when you say multidimensional, because the fact is, most well, if you live in this dimension, you're really single dimension in your focus.
You're experiencing an individualized aspect of it.
Yeah,
But
it's like I wrote in my whiteboard back there. Have we created our own reality that intermixes with other realities?
indeed,
I believe that's what we have
yeah,
done. Yeah.
definitely.
those of us who are, as I would say, we are the lords and ladies of the new birth, or we are the seeders of the new life forms. We are realizing that we're using our crystals,
Hmm.
Christ all in, crystalline. It's the same word play. It's the quantum connection with all of our minds, which is verified by physics, which is the quantum neurocomputation devices we call a brain, and that all of us are connected to it. And if we obey the laws of the network, which is the algorithm, the universal laws, the 12 laws, the seven hermetic principles, they're all connected to our chakras. And
I understand. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
As Mother Earth's chakras are now vibrationally tuned to where spiritual people, wherever you are, can now see the auric field around other spiritual beings, wherever they are. We're starting to recognize each other by more than just the outer complex.
I'll give you that. But I think, Karen, you and I got our nomenclatures mixed up, because when I talk about a spiritual awakening, it was like the charismatic movement of the late 70s. And, I was very heavily involved in the church. There wasn't any movement that I recall through mainline religion in America, talking, primarily
Um, this
evangelicals.
this wasn't part of mainline religion or in the churches, though. It
No,
was
that's what
just
I was making the
it's not.
reference to.
Oh no,
Yeah,
no, that
yeah,
was not. No, I'm talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
people that had already left the God spell back in the
yeah.
90s, and the difference was we were instead of so much interaction through the internet at the time, it was sort of pre that, so we were still gathering in actual physical groups and meeting, for big conferences like and channelings and all kinds of things back in the 90s, and so.
I think 1906 was the Azusa Street revival that broke out in Los Angeles.
Mhm.
I would say, from my perspective, that was probably the last big revival. It was the spiritualist revival that swept through America and Canada. So that's kind of what
Yeah.
I am thinking, because you got a lot of dead churches. Who's got the echo? Is it in my head? Let's see. Okay. Testing. There we go. I'm sorry. I it's like, wait a minute. There's only one of us here talking. No, there isn't. There's a couple, but I wonder if that could be transcended into outside mainline religion, that awakening could sweep through a nation. Am I off on that, or is that?
You're actually so on point with that.
No.
You're actually experiencing now day 4 of this massive resurgence of cosmic rays that are bombarding both our Arctic and Antarctic. It's showing light beings. It's taking it beyond as you would say, the fat lady Earth is singing. Her vibration in the Schumann resonance field is ringing. Okay? So what you're
So
seeing
it's not over until the fat lady sings.
Bingo! It's not over at all until you understand
And we're not fat shaming here. We love everybody.
That's just a common saying.
No. Listen, when we say fat, we're talking about
I know. It's the overabundance.
the pretty fine phonetics of the photonic element, because a tonic makes you stronger. But here you're looking at something that's genetically rewriting DNA codons that was predicted 90 years ago. It's happening right in front of our eyes, and only those with eyes and ears attuned to it can actually feel it and make sense out of the communication, and then translate it into ways that it can be given to butterflies, to caterpillars, because we're talking 2 different language.
Mm-hmm.
Those of us who are already butterflies, when we explain it to caterpillars that one day you're going to go into this 3 days of darkness and you're going to feel like you're wanting to die, but you're not going to die. You're going to come out of it better than you were before. They don't understand that it's labor and delivery of their true essence until it happens.
I love what we've hit on here. It's actually, I hadn't anticipated because it just came out, but a revival. I mean, right now, I'll just speak for the United States because that's where I live. We're divided. I mean, this nation is split asunder, and it's going to take something on a spiritual level outside, I think, religion. That's something that's natural to the people, that where all the people can join it, much like, We Are the World. They were on the right track. And wouldn't it be wonderful if we could get someone like a Kanye West, instead of promoting his version of a religion, but bring people together and say, folks, what we've got to do is have a spiritual revival within us. No God, no aspect of that. Anyway, maybe I think I'm on to, Ian, I think you're right. We're on to something.
You're onto something, and it's happening.
Yeah.
We are taking the convergence to the next level. The babies that are being born are truly what you'd call galactic template citizens. They're not just citizens of this local planet. People like myself and our Queen of Quartz here, we are understanding that we're deliberately living in certain places because we are sentinels that triggers certain activation in the ley lines of the planet. It's not that we're bragging, it's just what we were programmed to do. We were sent here to do it. We're luminous sentience. We
Yes.
talk and we make vibrations trigger. And as you talk about that revival in California in the 1906,
Yeah, the Azusa Street arrival. Yeah.
you have to bear in mind that that revival had folks in America and many other places across the world speaking in the Orisha languages of what you would speak over in Ghana, in, in Nubia, in Kemet. Now they call the same Orisha language the Python language that you use for quantum computing, a language
Hmm.
that programs the DNA, the molecules that are beyond the double strand. So you're hitting into Rishi consciousness. This is beyond Christ consciousness or God consciousness.
Yeah, and just to
You're
bring
going
some
back into
people
the ancients.
are asking, the Azusa Street revival was remarkable in the fact that they were literally bringing the invalid, those that were at death's door itself, and the healing that went through that community that lasted for nearly, I think, nearly 6 months. The resurrections from the dead, the reports, and from this, people like John Lake, who started a spiritualist movement up in Oregon and Washington State. That's where all of that came from. It was remarkable. The healings that took place were just incredible. There's plenty on the internet. Go and study it. It's really quite. And I can say, why can't we get that again?
It's coming.
Oh, I hope so. I really do, and I really hope that is the case.
Do you remember this symbol all across the world with the hand and the eye in it, the Hamsa?
Mm-hmm.
This is what you call the sacred palm technique when the 12 strands and the 12 chakras are active in your body. You
Mm-hmm.
become the avatar. That it doesn't mean you're a Christian. It means that the crystals in your body are activated, and you can see this on Carillion photography. This is not science fiction. It's science actualization in our biological bodies. It's happening right now.
Agreed. I agree.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I look at different theories, Ian, and to back up what you're saying, and I've talked in different channels about it, people can just look into the E8 emergence theory with the gravity research team, and they talk about what you're talking right at the science level, at the crystalline nature of our universe and the quasi, crystal that we see, that we, in this dimension. So that's a good one to back up, and Diehold Foundation is good as well for some of the science that you're talking about as well. So
Right.
those are a couple of really good sites. So they actually back up what you're saying. So as far as what the leading science and research teams are doing.
Well, there's a lot of it going on in academia.
Definitely. And
yeah.
white papers, and just especially if you get into the AI and quantum computers, and as that's our kind of our background, Wayne. As
2, 3, 400,000. I can't read them all. It's just, and there's more
I
being
know.
added to it all the time.
Yeah,
It's just
for sure.
Wayne,
For sure.
you'd probably get a kick out of this word. We're now adding on the AI, angelic intelligence, Adonai. Add on the I.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I get it. But I know who the other Adonai is as well, and I don't dig that dude. So
You see, all those other people that pretended to be something in the past, they're being
Mhm.
exposed. That's why it's called revelation. It comes at the Uranus of the Bible, which
yeah,
is
they're definitely being exposed. I just read a story, and I won't share it, but that actually is more true on that in a church setting. Basically, they found the baptismal that was being used when the church was coming in to use the baptismal. Love was everywhere. That's all I can say. Yeah,
indeed.
indeed. It's a good thing. Lois, you're not saying a word there. You got a big smile, but
I'm just letting y'all go at it.
well,
Yeah.
folks, we're here to help Lois's Food Pantry. So hit the link, give
Okay.
$1, give $5.
Right.
Let's see what we
We
can
should have
do.
showed too, Wayne, I guess, because also for Lois on the Crystal Network, We added Lois as the a featured community member on the homepage on the front. I usually have 3 people that I feature for the month. So if you
Excellent.
go to the Crystal Network, Lois is featured in the food pantry and what she's doing. And then there's a donate button right there. And it goes right to Lois's PayPal. And also if you go underneath, there's an event part too that's got the whole Thanksgiving fundraising event as well. And it goes down further on the page for Lois, and it goes to her PayPal as well. So
Fantastic.
the Thanksgiving fundraiser for Lois started on the page. I put it up November 1st, and the Thanksgiving fundraiser is going to go right till Thanksgiving or the end of November. So it'll be on the homepage to donate all the whole month for Lois for Thanksgiving. And then we're going to, right after that, Lois will stay up as one of the members for Christmas. And then we're going to continue with the food pantry for the whole month of December for Christmas as well. So Lois will be up on the homepage on the Crystal Network for 2 full months. And you can donate anytime during those full 2 months right under Lois, and then a new Christmas event one will be there too. So I'm keeping those up for the whole season for Lois.
Outstanding.
Thank you.
Aaron, this is in my vernacular far out.
One day's not enough, and Thanksgiving, and it gives people time over the next couple months to fit it in, the budget, and when they have time, it just doesn't have to be today. So they've got the full 2 months to donate at any time to the food pantry for this, the 2 seasons, because like Lois says, of course, Thanksgiving and Christmas are the big ones when family gets together, and when the extra.
And I'm still glad families get together at time.
Yeah.
And of course, folks, as you know, it's her link is also on my YouTube channel. So we're going to take care of you, Lois. I think we're going to do really well.
Thank you.
Well, I love it.
Indeed.
That's love, folks. It's just, what can you say? Thank you sometime is all that can be said. All right, come on.
Appreciate you, Lois. Thank you.
That's what they call dead air. It's like, oh man, what's it going to do there? No, but that's fine.
It's satisfaction just seeing the people that I help, treat them like they're human and not just, a charity case, because people kind of treat you like that too when you ask for help. People's more of my family than just clients,
I like that. That's what it is, family.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all have extended families.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes the extended family is better than the original family.
Yeah, probably is in this case.
The law of relativity. We're all related.
It's so funny. I mean, I have friends in law enforcement, and Thanksgiving, you think it's this time of, planes, trains, and automobiles, and great movie, by the way. And some family members, let's say, just don't see eye to eye sometimes. Yeah. So I just love this. Ian, do you have anything else on here? We're going to be cutting this short, folks, because I am heading out of town. And it's and I know Monday is Veterans Day. I just want to say to all the veterans, all those of you that have served our country, thank you. I've had family, all of us have, that, have paid that price for the freedom that we have. And this is why I really do want to think about more about this. I keep on seeing if we could see this revival go through, and maybe the revival isn't the right word, but an awakening. It's
the emergence.
Folks, I'll just say this. It's almost like a black spirit has taken over the United States. There is a draping that permeates our government. And I talked to a congressman here recently. He told me he's awake, and he says he can't go in to that building without the negative forces overwhelming him.
It's becoming palpable.
Yeah.
There's something, folks, going on.
Oh, definitely, Wayne. That's why I stay in the forest and the mountains usually. I don't come into the cities too often, and then only stay in them as long as I have to. But I choose when to enter certain environments or not. That's why I mostly.
I tell you, we're making all our plans to get out.
Yeah. So
But I just thought I'd share that because, if there was ever a time that America needed a revival, and not in the false gods, but begin to believe in itself, this is the time. Ian, what say you?
I say it's going to be the return of the American gods.
I love that.
You
I
know,
love that.
choose who you will play.
Exactly. Choose who you shall play with this day.
And I'm just a remote control for my highest self-expression. And I'll be there in Louisiana with Lois on the 16th through the 19th during the whole
Excellent.
celebration. I'm a recording artist now. We're going to do an album called The Galactic Healer. So some of footage is going to be done there with Lois playing the drums or dancing, passing out food.
Now I'll pay to go see that.
So, look out, stay
So there
tuned.
you
We're going to
go.
have a lot of fun.
Yes.
The revival has begun.
I love that idea. We've got to do something here. I'm a, I guess you could say, I'm a pragmatist. I look at things, and, the metaphysical community had an opportunity, but it seemed like it got off course. And as I was talking to this congressman, I said, it may be that it will take this new spiritual awareness to become made known. And he said, you know what, Wayne? He said, the thing that I am concerned most, he said, the mainline media will never let out a message of hope.
Mm.
You have to find alternative ways to get it out there.
Yes, we do.
Tapes. I don't know if you ever listened to Will Smith's daughter.
Mm-hmm. I have not, no, but
on SoundCloud as a ninth dimensional ambassador from the Pleiades. And
yes,
she goes viral. So there's many light codes, or as you call it, speaking in tongues, from many different star seeds that are translating and telling you exactly what it is, what it means, and people are resonating with it. So there you have it. The child shall lead them, and the children are the forerunners right now.
You speak about the ability of speaking in tongues. That ability has never left me, and I still practice it. And I'm finding out it's actually a direct channeling to the higher intelligence. And I'm glad you brought up the Palladians. We're going to be studying their handbook here in the next week. So,
what I laugh about, and I'll share this with you in parting. Psalms 19, verse 1. The heaven declares the glory of God, and the firmament showeth the star language of the constellation and the processional of the eons. That's written before there was even an earth, because the constellations are part of the xenolinguistic languages of the creators.
Which brings up the fact that before the earth, which means, folks, we were here before the earth as well.
Thank you. Exactly.
We're just visiting.
Yeah, we're travelers. This is what we do. We rebel. We come down to earth and have fun in a material form, and we call it fun for everyone. And then we go on to the next. And I know I've been here a few times.
I think we all have. And, I definitely got a sense that we have been out there probably more than we've been in here.
Exactly. That's why you still talk the gobbledygook that you do.
Well, as you look at this whole region, this whole realm needs deliverance, and it may be exactly why we're here.
We call it eschewance or conveyance, or the blood is the delivery system for oxygen to flow through the body of Christ.
I just want to say thank you, True Helper. We'll get that to Lois. So people are giving. So, we're doing well on that. But Ian, get back to you. I was talking with my wife on this, and I know we got to get this wrapped because she's
wants to get going on her vacation.
Is the fact that, if we could just understand that we get so wrapped up into our ideologies, our theologies, our philosophies, never understanding that if we are ancient, we are spirit, we've been through this before. And I think there's some of us who are bringing the solutions to keep us from going over the edge. That's just my take.
Indeed.
Yeah, I agree, Wayne, that because it's not by coincidence or by accident, as you know, that we meet in these groups and meet in these platforms and gather in the core groups because we are at the same spot. We are at the same frequencies and ideas and same thoughts and same perceptions and want to head in the same direction. And we have traveled together in the past and in the same group for sure. This is not our first time we've been together, and it won't be our last.
The synchronicities in this group are off the chart.
They're off the chart. If we actually, in one show we should come on, because we're having such advancements in some of our groups with our astral projecting and traveling together, and the telepathy between the group. Wayne, remember you said about documenting. So yeah, so it's really getting off the charts with some of the group for sure as we continue to practice and work together. So, and we're just starting to spread out, but no, this core group and yourself, of course, as one of our main holders.
I don't know.
Of the light.
I'm driving the
energy,
bus.
Oh yeah, you're driving.
Magic Scuba.
That's
And
right.
I'm saying-
I love that show.
Hello. The Yellow Submarine.
We're definitely traveling the astral plane. There's no
So,
doubt about it.
Yeah. So as Ian says, yeah, this is not the first, and it won't be the last. So, and there's a reason we gather and our energies combine.
And by the way, we're pulling in. I'm talking to a particular individual who is has her doctorate in the aspect of channeling, understanding the parapsychology, bringing an academic point of view, but actual practice as well.
I'd love to meet her.
Good.
Well, we shall. I'm trying to
Most
get
of
her
what
on.
I speak in those languages are neuro-linguistic codes that are highly scientific. And the spacing in between words takes on the elements of Morse codes, the elongated tones or the shortened tones. Literal, it moves constellations around. So once you understand that you are the satellite streaming the information at the speed of thought from the cosmos, within the cosmos itself, it takes on a whole different perspective.
Of course, yeah. Our whole skeletal structure and everything is made and just for sending and receiving, and it's crystalline in its nature.
Mm-hmm.
Our whole system is. So we're just
human elemental.
Really
Yes.
For sure. Yeah.
I know every morning at 3:30, you have Orion is now in our western sky, and the Pleiades are right up there as well. And I'm sending them my thoughts. Singing David Bowie, actually, hey, Mr. Starman, so, yeah, just my take. They like David Bowie, by the way.
That's on my Starman Tarot.
Yes, I love that song. He says, I know that there's a starman up there. He wants to come down to talk to us, but he's afraid he'll blow our mind, you see?
Oh,
This is
yeah.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Starman.
Yes.
Oh, good for you. Nice.
Excellent. Those are beautiful.
Yep.
Nice.
Those are beautiful.
David
All right.
Bowie.
We'll have to do this again. Lois, let me know how successful we are. Karen, thank you for your generosity, your guidance, your leadership. Ian, for the wisdom and the continuing, what I would say, refining the vibration of the group to understanding that we are in a transition. There is something going on. It's tangible. It's pliable. And we're definitely in the thick of it. This group is.
Definitely.
And I got the sense that the extensions on the spoke on the wagon wheel are just as thick in it as well.
Indeed.
So, folks, I am heading out for the weekend. You have yourselves a great weekend. Lois, love you dearly, hon. Karen, the same way. Ian, much love and respect to you.
Much love and light.
As as a master of the linguistics of the coding, it's always a pleasure to have you on, and I'll get you on and we'll do a complete show together.
Namaste. In due time.
And it shall be. Lois, thank you, dear. Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
Everyone
Yes.
too.
Lois. Thank you, Lois.
Thank
Lovely.
you.
Thank you for
All right,
touching me,
folks.
honey.
Thank you for your
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
generosity. All right. Bye-bye, folks.